Benjamin Crump, for everybody that said Benjamin Crump wants to get to the bottom of this, he really cared about Nolan Wells' family, I'm telling you guys, they do not care. It's just a money grab. How do you know, Mr. Tatum? Well, then why, when we reached out to Benjamin Crump, that they didn't respond to us or they made some lame response after our fourth attempt to talk to him? Here's the email. This is the first time we reached out to Benjamin Crump. You can look at the email there, and you know exactly that we reached out to his team. We gave a generic media outreach where we put the information in there and say, hey, we would love to have an open dialogue. We value the conversation. Here's something that we want to know from his perspective what he has, and we wanted to deliver what we have to him. All right, we did that the first time. Here's the second time.
5 days later.
5 days later, here's the next one. What was that, a day after that?
Yep.
And then here's the fourth one.
Yeah, the fourth one is 5:30 in the morning, and it's basically saying, hey, that's still... You go to the next one? Yeah, this is the first response I received, which is basically... Or no, this is the final response, where they basically say...
Yeah, so the final response said, thank you for reaching out, interest in speaking with Benjamin Crump, right?
Yep.
So the thing is, we reached out to Benjamin Crump. We reached out to talk to Benjamin Crump. We didn't reach out to talk to the family. We only wanted to talk to Benjamin Crump. Put the thing back up there. And so as you can see on there, it says, at this time, the family is taking a break from media engagement as they continue to grieve and spend time together. Why are you talking about the family? I know they're taking a break. Benjamin Crump should be taking a break. He's the attorney.
Correct.
We only wanted to talk to him. They acknowledge the fact that you reached out and interested in speaking with attorney Benjamin Crump, but says that the family is taking the time apart. It's a lame excuse for them not to engage with us. And people are running their mouth about whether or not they want to know the truth or not. We reached out to them plenty of times.
They want Officer Tatum dead for telling the truth about Nolan Wells. Let me break this down for you, because what's happening right now with Officer Brandon Tatum is one of the most disturbing things I've seen play out in this whole Nolan Wells situation. You got an 18-year-old kid named Nolan Wells who tragically died on the island in Mississippi. He was drinking. He was an 18-year-old kid doing what 18-year-old kids do, as they would say, when they're out on the water with their friends. And ever since his body was found, folks have been trying to turn this into some type of racial lynch mob murder mystery, because that's what gets attention and that's what gets donations. Benjamin Crump got involved. Al Sharpton got involved. Tyler Perry put up money. Colin Kaepernick put up money for the independent autopsy. But they didn't tell you that the state did their autopsy first. So when the independent autopsy that Colin Kaepernick played for, that was a second autopsy, because that's what an independent is. The state has to do it first. His organs and everything is already removed. So of course it's going to be found unconclusive, right? So my whole point is they got a reward fund going. And here's the thing that nobody wants to talk about. Officer Brandon Tatum, a former police officer, happens to be a black man, did what actual journalists used to do. Journalists in regards of, now true journalism and true journalists, and the journalist has nothing to do with race. Let's make that clear. Journalism is journalism. True journalism seeks the truth no matter what the situation is. Has nothing to do with race as a factor. So Brandon Tatum, he went and talked to the people who were there that day. He interviewed the actual friends who were with Nolan Wells before he died. And you would think that if you're Ben Crump and you claim you want the truth about what happened to this kid, you'll be jumping at the chance to talk to the person who actually sat with the witnesses. But that's not what happened. Not even close. And here's the reality of what Officer Tatum exposed. He reached out to Ben Crump's team multiple times, as you've seen in this clip. 4 times. He sent emails saying, hey, we want to sit down, have an open dialogue. We want to hear from your perspective and share what we found. And what did Ben Crump's team do? Nothing. For 5 days, nothing. Then after the 4th attempt, they finally respond with some lame excuse about how the family is taking a break from media engagement. But wait, Officer Tatum wasn't asking to talk to the family. He was asking to talk to Ben Crump. Ben Crump is the lawyer. So any true attorney that seeks truth, they want to get the message out as clear as possible, and they're willing to take any information possible to obviously justify their case to ensure that the death is truthfully, exposed for what it truthfully is, and however the outcome have turned out to, even though it's unfortunate, a young man has so much life to live, but justifying the death to make sure it's truthful, and we know the knowledge, and also understanding truthfully what happened resulting to Nolan Wells' death, that would at least bring some justification, let alone relief to somewhat, to the grieving family and Nolan Wells' friends. But Ben Crump is the one going on national television every single day talking about this case. Ben Crump is the one raising money off this tragedy. But when somebody with actual evidence and actual access to the witnesses, like Nolan Wells' friends, reaches out, suddenly Ben Crump don't want to talk no more. Ain't that something? I never heard of an attorney that don't want to talk to the friends of a case that you're representing in regards of that's close with the individual that you are trying to make sure that the death is justified and seeking truthful answers. Why would you not want to, if you're representing a family who lost their son, you will want to reach out and talk to the friends of their son that was close to them. I never seen an attorney that did not want to do that. Comment down below if I'm wrong. We just having a conversation. But that's what this whole thing is about. At least it comes off as about it being more of a money grab and raising money off the tragedy than actually seeking truth and vindication. Or I should say, in this case, truth and conviction. Because the truth is convicting and exposing the true motive of the lawyer in itself, and for those who claim they want to know what really happened to Nolan Wells. So Officer Tatum posted text messages showing the Warren Hudson's stepmom, Ashley Cole, reached out to Nolan Wells' mother, Christine, before she ever went on CNN claiming that nobody from the friends' families had reached out. Then the mother eventually had to correct herself on CNN because she got caught. But instead of being mad that the mother lied and tried to paint those kids as cold-hearted murderers, the so-called pro-black community is mad at Officer Tatum for exposing the lie. And it gets worse, much worse, unfortunately.
You said it, y'all be able to see it. Before we put it out, you'll be able to see it. And that's exactly what we did. We did the interview. We talked to the other boys, but they didn't want to go on camera, which for obvious reasons, because of stuff like this. Let's put it out there of the kind of hate I'm getting for just interviewing. Roll the clip.
Here's my message to some of you ignorant, melanated people that's in my comment section and in my messenger, talking about I hate my people, I hate my race, and you want me to take up for people that's wrong just because they black.
If Harriet Tubman was alive today, she would blow your brains out without any hesitation. Your brain matter will be all over the ground. No bull. Like,
time out. That's him dog whistling or trying to allude to the fact that he wants me dead. He thinks somebody should kill me because in 2026, what Harriet Tubman and them sacrificed for us to have freedoms and for us to get along with each other, I expressed that, and he think I should be killed. Harriet Tubman would have killed me for being fair to people and not basing stuff based on race. Let it go.
You made $20 million since 2017.
I made $20 million.
Since 2017.
2017.
And never holding white people accountable. And then you're wondering why people are in your inbox saying the things they're saying to you. You did cried real tears when a Nazi got his neck blown off.
Whoa.
Charlie's a Nazi.
A Nazi.
Nazi.
A Nazi. When a racist white person checks you, you do nothing, you say nothing. But when a black person says something you don't like, and I've seen an interview, you was willing to throw hands with them, but called black people violent. Make that make sense. So you know what? As a black man, I'm gonna show you how violent we really can get, right? You know what I hope happens to you? I hope a group of racist, conservative, flag-waving, loving white people string you up on the biggest tree they could find. I hope they get the biggest pickup truck with the strongest chain, wrap it about your ankles, drive 30, 40 miles per hour on the dirtiest, rockiest road possible, and have your skin shredded to the white meat. That is what I hope happens to you. Genuinely, that is what I hope happens to you.
Wow.
You hope I get tortured and killed
Drug behind a car.
like my ancestors, some of my ancestors, because I interviewed one kid, two kids, one black
Yeah.
and one white.
Right.
Just interviewed. I didn't speak for them. I let them say what they had to say.
Yeah.
I asked them the questions that y'all had and the accusations against them, and I let them talk on a podcast. And now I'm supposed to get drugged and killed and hanged from a tree by racist white people. Make your mind up, bruh. I'm chucking and jiving for the white man because I want to be white and all this, but then the same people gonna kill me for no reason.
So these pro-black entities, these black supremacists that some people are seeing on the internet, they're calling them, they didn't just disagree with Officer Tatum, as individuals are saying. And as you see in the clip, it's self-explanatory. They started issuing death threats, following up with divisive rhetoric. And you obviously see that it's not vague internet hate. I'm not talking about vague. I'm talking about, as you've seen, direct, specific, violent threats telling him he should be killed, Officer Tatum. Then you have one commentator that did say that in this clip that speaks for itself, speaking, and I'm speaking to the majority, right? I'm speaking to the majority, not the minority. He literally said, and I'm just reiterating, Harriet Tubman was alive today, she would blow Officer Tatum's brains out. To basically justify that if Harriet Tubman, he's speaking indirectly, right? So basically, they want Officer Tatum killed, but in justification of Harriet Tubman, if she was alive today to do it, then obviously you support that you want it to happen regardless. Just the principle of it. So when you look at that, right, and you see how deep that is, I don't even want to repeat the rest with the tree and the dragging him behind the truck and skin shredded. I don't even want to visualize or even hear anymore or even repeat it to even try to. I tried not even visualize as he was saying it, issuing the threat. So if you think about that for a second, if we have to just, if we want to be better as people, we just need to be objective and speak to the truth and facts. Besides destroying each other, tearing down each other, issuing death threats, and just going with the mindset of that individual, right? That made it a white and black thing to the point where he issued a death threat to Officer Tatum in the name of Harriet Tubman, in the name of being dragged by a truck, et cetera, et cetera. A black man is being told he should be lynched by white people because he interviewed witnesses to find out what really happened to a dead black teenager. That is the level of insanity we're dealing with. The same people who scream about white supremacy and racial violence are literally calling for a black man to be dragged behind a truck because he wouldn't stay on code, or in this case, just because he asked questions, which everybody has the right to do, and just trying to figure out this case and get all details in itself. There's nothing wrong with asking a question. Now, what I don't disagree with that happens a lot is a lot of individuals get convicted in a court of public opinion instead of actually being innocent until proven guilty out of respect for the process of investigations, criminal, and so forth. Just the judicial system in itself and just the investigation when it comes to forensics and out of respect for those professions, for human life being lost and unfortunate death and things like that. So because he wouldn't go along with the narrative that this was a white lynching, because he dared to say maybe, just maybe, an 18-year-old kid who was drinking on the island with his friends accidentally drowned. It's not white supremacy. It's just common sense. You're just asking questions. But I never understood how a sense of ambiguity had to turn into something so racial. So common sense, it seems, doesn't pay the bills when you're running a racial grift operation. And that's the real conversation here, because this whole situation is actually demining, belittling, and disrespecting the life of Nolan Wells and his family, because this whole situation is coming off as a grift, as a majority of people would say, as I look at the overall sentiment on social media and from people. They raised almost $1 million off the death of this young man, Nolan Wells, by pushing a narrative that there's some grand cover-up and white lynching conspiracy, instead of just letting the truth come out and waiting for the autopsy and the toxicology report. They offer reward money for anybody who could tell them what happened, when the actual friends who were there sat down with Officer Tatum. So are you mad because he doesn't go along with the narrative, and then on top of that, you're rewarding those to, it looks like you're rewarding those to continue to go along with your conspiracy, but not reward the actual friends who actually interacted and was there with Nolan Wells. But then you're mad because Officer Tatum actually sat with the individuals that were friends and deeply close and was witnesses there with Nolan Wells. So because those actual friends, Officer Tatum asked questions and just interviewed, didn't tell them what to think, how to think, what to say, just asking questions that many people may be thinking to tell their side of the story respectfully, suddenly they don't want to hear it. And then issuing not only death threats to Officer Tatum, but the friends for just speaking their truth courageously from what they knew from when they were there. So suddenly those friends are just so-called friends. Suddenly they are co-conspirators. They don't really want the truth. They want the version of the truth that confirms what they already decided happened. Again, convicted in the court of public opinion, not letting the processes play out. And anybody who brings evidence that contradicts that narrative becomes an enemy. They become a target. Officer Tatum said it perfectly. He said, "I'm willing to change my mind if the evidence shows this was actually a murder." So why can't we just have mature, productive, agree to disagree conversations? At least we see different perspectives. Right? Officer Tatum said, "I'll be the first to say I was wrong and call for justice if there's evidence that shows this was actually a murder." Because his opinion is not on racial allegiance. It's based on facts. But these individuals, their opinions are based purely on what they're supposed to say as black people, I guess. Stay on code. Don't question the narrative. Don't interview the friends. Don't show text messages that contradict the grieving mother. Don't do anything that might stop the money train from rolling. That's why that's why the friends and Officer Tatum is getting death threats. I'm just asking questions. That's why you get people saying they hope Officer Tatum get lynched, because they're a threat to the grift and a narrative that's not true, when these are essential information, or I should say, this is viable information because these individuals was there. Nolan Wells friends, right? So we got to do better as a people. And if speaking to the individual who wanted to be a pro-black individual and basically incited violence and a death threat into Officer Tatum, well, how can you say that you're the solution, or you want your people in this case? Because I stand for all people. I don't care what race. I don't like the divisive rhetoric. I want all of us to unify and just have productive conversations, because we are smart. We all are gifted. We all are beautiful, amazing individuals in our unique way, right? So and plus you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you continue to just let race be your vocal point, are you really trying to grow, or you're just fueling hatred? And that's how I look at things. I want to spread peace, love, and positivity, growth, productivity. You know, I want things to continue to evolve for the better, for all people. We're all just trying to figure this thing out called life, as I always say. We're just trying to figure it out. So, and we don't know what the next person is going through. So the beauty of just having productive conversations can help the next person. But if we continue to look at race, we're just spreading ignorance that only destroys not only self, but the next generation, spreading the ignorance because of not educating ourselves on situations to just look at the facts and truth and look at logic, which logic actually leads to long-term results, which is more better for us as a people, as we the people, than actually emotional decisions, which are short term, which usually leads to a future of disappointment and grief and regret. So I say all that to say that speaking to the individual who want to be for his preference of people, just black people, well, and in this case, I don't think that you threaten an individual the same color as you wanting to stand up for that certain race to do better and for things to be right and truthful, then are you really seeking the truth? And I say all that to say to listen to this family because I think this adds to my point that I'm trying to get to leading up to this clip.
Stand behind that. Black men off each other the most in this country, and we don't even make up the population of this country. We are the smallest part of the country. But why are black men offing each other the most in this country? We need to do better
Why
as
do you hate
people.
black
And I know
people?
y'all don't think that. What? I'm sorry?
Why do you hate black people?
I don't hate
Why
black
do you
people.
have
What I'm
such
saying,
animosity?
me
You come
saying that we
across
should
like
be
you have
better is not, that's
animosity
not
towards
hate. Saying
it
that we should be
is.
better is not hate. No, it's not.
You coming
I want us
you
to
come
be better
across
as
as if you have
people. I want
self-hate.
us to be, wanting to be better as a
That's
person
not
is not
better.
hate. If you want your
Defending
children to
yourself is
be,
not
if you want your
defending
children to
yourself.
be
You
good
have
people
the
in the
right
world, you teach them to be good
you want
people
us
in
to
the
be less
world. That's not,
Hold
that's
on.
speaking
not
is
hating your children. That is
you
teaching them to
speaking
be
as if
better.
we should
How
be
is that
lesser.
hate? How is that hate,
Because you
sweetie?
speaking
If I
because
if I tell my children,
you sound as if we
if
should
I
be
tell my
lesser.
children to be better than other people in school, how is that hate? When I'm trying to tell them to be
Because
a better
this
person, that's not hate,
okay,
baby.
what
That's
what would
what
you
you need
tell
to
your children?
understand.
Okay, if you saying better, what do you think is better? If someone is trying to attack you, you don't think that black people have the right to defend themselves?
Definitely, but like most people have already said, both parties could have been handled differently. That's just the bottom line. It could have been handled differently on both sides. Bottom line.
Now that was the Carmelo Anthony case, which happens to be they did an appeal. They're going to do a new trial that's coming up in due time. But the simple fact is, I put this clip there, and I feel like this clip justifies my point. If the individual that's wishing death and for Officer Tatum to be dragged by a truck, etc., but you want to stand up for a certain preference of people, which happen to be your skin color that you want to stand for. I'm just speaking to your preference and your focus in this case, understanding that perspective. Then what is wrong with asking questions? And also, asking questions can actually help self-evaluate yourself through the process because then you'll be able to examine your heart. If your heart is full of hatred, where someone like your own skin color that you say you stand for, you want to wish death on, do you actually want truth and do you actually want to be a better person and want individuals like you and your skin color, in this case, black people, quote unquote, to be better people? Or do you just want them to agree to what you want them to agree to? And if not, you want them gone? So I think what I'm saying is we all as people, which I stand for, no matter what race, we all should be evaluating and examining our hearts to make sure it's in the right place. Right? So within that being said, I want to speak to some real life wisdom here because this goes way, and I feel like that did as well just go way beyond just Nolan Wells' case or Officer Tatum. What we're seeing is a pattern. We saw it with the Carmelo Anthony situation, which you see on the screen, the young man with the tie on the screen right now, right? Where witnesses who could have helped tell the truth were attacked and intimidated. We see it every time there's a high profile incident involving race and the initial narrative starts falling apart. The people who are profiting off division in victimhood or victim Olympics will attack anybody who threatens their business model. And I had to come to understanding that this is a business. It really is a business because that's what it comes more off as. Victimhood is a multi-million-dollar industry, and Ben Crump comes off as one of the top CEOs in that industry. Do they really want the solutions or reconciliation or justice half the time, or they want the narrative to continue because the narrative keeps the donations coming? And when somebody like Officer Tatum comes along with receipts, with text messages, actual witnesses, with logic and common sense and questions that we all may ask and ask, they have to destroy him? Not just disagree. And you could disagree, but literally destroy him and like silence him and make an example out of him and death threats to what did that make them think twice before speaking the truth? But here's the thing about truth: you can threaten it, you can attack it, You can try to kill the messenger, but the truth doesn't change. The autopsy is coming from the state. It is coming. The toxicology report is coming. And when those reports confirm what the friends have possibly already been saying, we don't know yet. What are these pro-black grifters as individuals or happen to see they come off as, and it happens to be justified if they are pro-black grifters, going to do then? They're going to move on to the next tragedy if that's the case. I would want them to come out and say, we was wrong, because that makes a better people, and not focus on race, because it leads to ignorance, and instead of just speaking to the situation without adding your own personal ad hominem attacks or personalizing it or trying to make it some type of divisive rhetoric to destroy, when the situation is already sad in itself, right? But if it happens to be these witnesses were right, and the individuals who had the divisive rhetoric don't take accountability for it and say they're wrong, it comes off as they're going to find the next, what, you're going to find the next black person? And the next, what is this? Going to be constantly a racial good and evil thing? Villain, and like somebody's always going to be the villain and somebody's always going to be the one that just got crucified? The whole circus over again? Because the truth was never the point, it comes off. The money was always the point, it seems. And the lives of young black men, and all young men, are just props in their performance, it comes off as. So let me close with this, because I always try to give you something real to walk away with. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 19 says, "The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment." And that's the lesson in all of this. The truth can be attacked, it can be suppressed. People can threaten you for speaking it, but the truth outlasts everything. Lies have a shelf life, they expire. You could build a multi-million-dollar grift on a lie, but that lie eventually will collapse under the weight of reality. And here's the life wisdom for anybody who might not be spiritual. When you build your identity, your business, your whole worldview on being a victim, you trap yourself in a cage of your own making. You can't grow, you can't heal, you can't move forward, because moving forward means letting go of all the victim narrative, and that's all you got. That's all you are. That's why it comes off as so they're attacking Officer Tatum so viciously, and we don't even have the full results yet. I always like to wait and see, but I'm just speaking to the mindsets and different perspectives, and I'm like, whoa, this is getting out of hand. So hopefully I can advocate for unity, which is my goal in this video, examining our hearts and continue to be better people. Even though this is a sad situation, there's always life wisdom in every situation to continue to be better as people. And look, Officer Tatum comes off as not because he's wrong for asking questions, but because he represents something individuals who don't want the truth seem terrified of. I don't know, a black man who refuses to be defined by victimhood, maybe? Asking a question, a black man who values truth over tribal loyalty, maybe? Or a black man who won't stay on code. I don't know. They want him dead not because he's a threat to white people, I guess. They want him dead because he's a threat to their entire way of life. And when your way of life is built on lies, the truth is the most dangerous thing in the world. Keep speaking it, family. Keep standing on it, because the lip of truth shall be established forever. And let me know what you think in the comments. Have you been following the Nolan Wells case? Do you think Officer Tatum is doing the right thing? Drop your thoughts below and like and subscribe if you are about truth over tribalism. I'll catch you in the next one. Spread that peace, love, and positivity. As always, we just having a conversation. Catch you in the next one, family. Peace.